Well, hello everybody. This is Dear Mama Sal, and welcome to yet another broadcast. It's Friday evening, which is our Smile broadcast. For those of you who are not regulars, let me just try and explain this to you. We do three broadcasts a week. One on Friday lunchtime, that's Pacific time, where we learn something, and then we do this one, the Friday evening one, where we hopefully smile a bit. At least to start with. It's amazing how many times we start by laughing and then move on to something quite serious. That's just the way it goes. And then the third broadcast is on Sundays, and that is at 3:30 Pacific time. And that one is our Soul Sunday. We bring the whole temperature down and just relax a bit and get ourselves ready for the coming week. So those are the three broadcasts. You are more than welcome to watch either live or on the replay. And feel free to write to me if there's a topic you'd like me to talk about. And I'm always interested in hearing what it is you'd like me to talk about. We had a discussion today, at lunchtime today, about manipulation. So if ever you have been manipulated or feel that you not easy for me to say, manipulated somebody and want to know how to stop doing that, then you might want to give that a quick watch. So, hi to everybody. Hi, Jody. It's good to see you here. And thank you for being here. For those of you who don't know, Jody is our admin, and she listens all the way through the broadcast and takes notes where we need it. So, and then reminds me to follow up on stuff. I need that person in my life. And Jody is that wonderful person, and I'm very appreciative of it. Tonight, we're going to smile a bit, hopefully. And I decided to take some of the humor from Rita Rudner, if any of you have heard her. And she has, a very quirky look on life, I think, and I like quirky people. So on pregnancy, she said, to me, life is tough enough without having somebody kick me from the inside as well. Now, I don't know about the rest of you, but that sort of appealed to me. It's like, hello. And although I do know that a lot of you would be only too happy to have somebody kick you from the inside again. So I just thought that was so cute. She also said that if a man prepares dinner for you and it includes 3 or more types of salad, or 3 or more types of lettuce to be exact, he's serious. All right, how many of you have a man in your life who likes to cook? I think that's one of the greatest gifts in life, is to have a man in your life who likes to cook, preferably one that likes to cook and clean. Now, this one you've got to think about for a second, but I thought it was wonderful. And I was going to have cosmetic surgery until I noticed that the doctor's office was full of portraits by Picasso. Hi, Isabel. Good to see you. Yeah. And for those of you who know the art of Picasso, you will understand why that was an issue for her. I don't know if any of you relate to this one. They usually have 2 tellers at my local bank, except when it's really busy, then they only have 1. How many of you have noticed that? It's like, I found that as well sometimes, when you go grocery shopping, right? It's like they seem to have more than enough checkout people until it's busy. And then you're going, where are those checkout people? Where are they all gone? Did they all just suddenly get vacuumed away or something? And when it's quiet, you got them hanging out of your gazoos, and you've got people bagging your stuff and all sorts of things. And so I've been there and done that. And she also observed something, which is, I think very true, that not one man in a beer commercial has a beer belly. Have any of you ever noticed that? It's just like, Yeah, right. Those are actors, people. Beautiful makeup. Mine? Seriously? Wow. If that is so, then wow. I didn't know that it was anything different. Sort of, I quite honestly, I put my makeup on so quickly that it surprises me if it looks beautiful. And for some reason, whenever I sit down, this eye always looks strange. And I do it exactly the same way as the other one, but I've noticed there must be something about the lighting. So I will just blend that a bit more. But I've always noticed that this eye, for some reason, is always different. Okay. How many of you agree that men are like portable heaters that snore? I thought that was really cute. Now then, she also said, if you like easygoing, monogamous men, stay away from billionaires. Boy, I'd have to agree with that. Even millionaires, I found out that applies to. She also said this. She said, it wasn't that no one invited me to the prom. It was that nobody would even tell me where it was. Hi, Charlotte. Good to see you again. Charlotte was with us at lunchtime as well. And she said that most turkeys taste better the day after Thanksgiving. But then she added, my mother's tasted better the day before. Yes, that's interesting. Beth is saying she always told her daughters when they started dating, go for the nerds. Why, Beth? Yeah. I think that's very good advice. And especially if you are what I call eye candy, right? It's just like, you're gonna, it's like if the only interest they have in you is that you're eye candy, then really, what's the point? They are driven. Ah, okay. All right, and they are smart and they don't have many hang-ups. I've met a few nerds that actually do have a few hang-ups, but I understand what you're saying. Good point, Beth. Now, if your husband has difficulty going to sleep, she recommended that you try the words, we need to talk about our relationship. How many of you can relate to that one? If you're trying to have a serious conversation, amazing how quickly they fall asleep or pretend to. Hi, Marie. Good to see you. Now, this one I relate to, and that is I burn 60 calories. And that should take care of that peanut that I had back in 1962. I made the mistake this week of having some granola. And, I was amazed what it did to my blood sugar. It wasn't serious, but it definitely spiked. So as I want to continue to eat it because I liked it, I decided I'm only going to have half a cup. And I'm going to try and eat it earlier in the evening. Now, how many of you relate? How many of you relate to this one? Hi, Ashley. How many of you relate to this one? And that is, I thought AAA was an organization for people who were really bad alcoholics. Now, just in case you don't know, AA isn't Alcoholics Anonymous thing. So they thought that AAA was for serious problems. I like that. And in case you don't know, AAA is the American Automobile Association, or in my neck of the woods, we call it BCAA because I'm in British Columbia in Canada. Now, a couple of you will understand this one. Rita Brudner said, "If I can't have it all, can I at least have some of yours?" Yeah. That was cute. All right, now then, for anybody who cooks, this one is a really good question. Rita asked, "How come when you mix flour and water together, you get glue? And then when you add eggs and sugar, you get a cake. Where did the glue go?" And then she asked, "When I go out with a man, I have to ask myself, is this the man I want my children to spend the weekends with?" And then she said, "Men don't get cellulite. God must just be a man." Before I met my husband, I'd never fallen in love, though I'd stepped in it a few times. Some of you will relate to that. All right, now then, this one I think is very true. My husband and I are either going to buy a dog or have a child. We can't decide whether to ruin our carpet or ruin our lives. Now, this one is cute, right? The word aerobics came from the gym instructors who got together and said, if we're going to charge $10 an hour, we can't really call it jump up and down. Give it a fancy name and you can charge more, right? Oh, Lord, this is never good for my eyes. And this one, if you're in a relationship, some of you will smile. All men are animals, but some just make better pets than others. All right, so this one, when a woman tries on clothing from her closet and it feels tight, she will assume that she has gained weight. When a man tries on something from his closet and it feels tight, he will assume that his clothing has shrunk. And I just want to acknowledge, I did at lunchtime, but I want to acknowledge it again. For those of you who've been following Jodi's incredible journey back to health, Jodi managed to walk down the wheelchair ramp at the front of her building without holding onto the rail because she was busy holding onto the camera, recording it for me. And this is the lady who a year ago had lymphoderma so badly that she basically was bedridden. And now she is able to walk down the ramp at the front of her house. How many of you are going? Isn't that wonderful? I am, definitely. Some people get so rich that they lose all respect for humanity. And Rita Ratner said, and that's how rich I want to be. And she also said that men who have a pierced ear are better prepared for marriage. They've experienced pain and bought jewelry. She also observed that most men sitting in first class on an airplane have really boring lives. It reminds me. I got to sit in first class coming back on Cathay Pacific, coming back from Hong Kong one time. And I found out that the guy next to me was one of the co-owners of the Broncos. How many of you know I spent the whole of that trip learning about football? And, it was just like I became a sort of an overnight super fan of the Broncos. It was amazing how much he taught me. And the more I enjoyed the learning, the more he taught me. And it was the amazingly fast trip. Probably not for him, but it really was for me. So not all of them are boring. Some are actually very interesting. How come? Oh, yeah, we heard that one already. Yes. I think it was Pat. It was a while ago now. I think it was Pat. That's interesting. Okay. She also said, I was a vegetarian until I find myself leaning towards the sunlight. Now this, do any of you have a poodle? Because if so, this might not be funny to you. However, Rita said, I wonder if other dogs think that poodles are members of some weird religious cult. All right, now then, there's something very true in what she had to say about menopause. She said, with female menopause, you get to gain weight and get hot flushes. With male menopause, you get to date young girls and drive motorcycles. Isn't that the truth? So she said that when 4 or more men get together, they talk sports. When 4 or more women get together, they talk about men. She said, my mother was the worst cook ever. In school, when we traded lunches, I had to throw in an article of clothing. How many of you traded lunches at school? Any nice stories about that? Let me have them. Rita Redner also said, when I eventually met Mr. Wright, I had no idea that his first name was Always. I am always right. Yes. She said, men will now get up with the baby in the middle of the night, change its diapers, and give it a bottle. But in their heart of hearts, they still think they shouldn't have to. Oh, Jody, that sounds horrific. Jody's saying about trading lunches that she did until I ended up with a friend's rotten tuna fish sandwich. Ugh, that sounds horrible. Really horrible. All right, so Isabel's saying, me and my friend always had the same lunch, so we knew what was the special of the week. That actually, there's a lot of truth in that, isn't there? She said, men are brave enough to go to war, but they're not brave enough to get a bikini wax. Isn't that so true? I'm pausing because what I'm reading is a repeat of something we've already had. Right. Hi there, Nana. Welcome to Smile Night. Rita Redner said a lot of rich women are seeing how small they can get their dogs. Have you noticed that? It's like the more money you've got, the smaller the dog becomes. And by the way, talking about that, I recently found a program called Lucky Dog. Have any of you seen that program? And if you like dogs, I really recommend it. The guy literally is in touch with his local pound, and as soon as the dog gets close to running out of his time, because nobody wants them, he will rescue them, train them, and then find them the perfect home. And I want to tell you, it is just such an incredibly fun program to watch. And some of the stories, it's a bit like New Amsterdam. I cry almost every episode because it's so cute to see how these forgotten and really sad-looking dogs suddenly become such beautiful members of a family. Rita Rudner said that men like phones with lots of buttons. It makes them feel important. I can always remember watching a man one day when I was trying to have a very serious conversation with him. He was busy. He was busy emailing, Instagramming, and Twittering, and Facebook messengering, all whilst he was talking to me. And I actually said to him, somebody has to tell you this. I don't find that very polite. So if you want to do all of those things, go to the washroom. And, yeah. All right. Beth is saying, your daughter Victoria used to tell everyone that she wants to be a hooker when she grew up. She loved to help me hang clothes on hangers. Boy, the look she got from saying that to people. You know something? I can remember once saying, Beth, just I hope you're in a safe place. But I can remember once telling somebody that I wanted to be an escort. My idea of an escort wasn't everybody else's idea of an escort, apparently. And to me, it was like, I really enjoyed meeting people off planes and things and showing them the town, and it was just like, yeah, somebody said to me, I don't think that's really what you mean. And I said, no, it isn't. Oh, this is from Rita Rudner as well. She said men would like monogamy much better if it sounded less like monotony. All right, she said, Rita Redden said, be careful of men who are bold and rich. The arrogance of the rich usually cancels out the nice of the bold. Lordy. All right, and her observation about men and cooking was, men will cook if danger is involved. How many of you have seen a man that really wants to learn how to cook, where he can do the flambe bit, turn the whole frying pan on fire and try not to burn the house down? By the way, I had a man do that in my house once and actually set my kitchen on fire just after I'd repainted the whole house. And 90% of my house had to be repainted because of smoke damage. And it was just like, you got a big job ahead of you, buddy. I've just finished repainting the house. And now, and you know what he did? He put some oil on the stove and then came out to tell me something. And I'm going, who does that? Now, I can't remember why I wasn't in the kitchen, but he came out to tell me something. And the next thing I knew, we had an oil-fired fire going on in my kitchen. Marrying a divorced man is ecologically responsible. In a world where there are more women than men, it pays to recycle. Yeah, Jody, we know that you don't leave oil on, a stove unattended. You and I know that, and anybody else that has half a brain knows that. But may I just remind you, this was a man. Yeah. So how about this one? Blondes must have more fun. How many brunettes do you know that walk down the street with blonde roots? Okay, so this one, I think this one is true of today's technology as well. If you buy your husband or boyfriend a video camera, for the first few weeks he has it, please lock the door when you go to the bathroom. Most of my husband's early films end up with a scream and a flush. Now, there's a great deal of truth in this one. She said that don't try and teach a man how to do anything in public. In private, they can learn. In public, they have to know. Isn't that the truth? So while I'm finding a few more of these, anybody got any news that they want to share? And for those of you who are watching for the first time, we are, what do? You hit the subscribe button. No, you hit the bell button here, right? And that one will tell you when we're doing a broadcast. And just remember that life is about as funny as we make it. I always start on the Friday broadcast with some smiles because I think that we have to remember to bring laughter and joy into our lives. And, sometimes we literally need to take the time to do that. If we take half an hour, or even a couple of hours, and smile a bit on a Friday night, do you understand that we're using a whole lot of muscles that we probably haven't used too many of those muscles during the week? And it's really important. Also, how many of you know what happens to our bodies physiologically when we smile and laugh? Wow, Nolene, she's saying that she's finally getting better after 7 lots of antibiotics. Wow, that's a lot, isn't it? And isn't it sad that our bodies have built up such a resistance to antibiotics that it took 7, courses of antibiotics before it worked? Have any of you had that, what I call the super antibiotic, where they actually give you, it's like a bomb. They give you, I think it's 2 or 3. And instead of having to take it for 3 weeks or whatever it is, they literally have 2 or 3, and they are so strong that they really kill the bugs, like on the spot. Can't remember. I think when I had, what did I have? A really serious bout of bronchitis, edging on pleurisy. That's what they gave me. If anybody else has had that, let me know, because I was amazed how well that worked. It was just like, wow, I don't know how they do that, but that's incredible technology. All right, anybody else got a comic that they particularly like? If so, let me know, and I'll see if I can find some jokes from them. I think, anybody who that is sick for a long time. I know Nana was sick for a long time earlier in the year. Have any of you had a flu shot this year, or any of you planning to? I notice Stephen Wright. Okay, let me see if I can find some of Stephen Wright's. I know we quote him every now and then, but let's see if we can find some more of his. Just bear with me a second. Jody, could you make a note for me to have a look at Stephen Fry as well while I'm thinking about it? The British guy. All right, so this is, if any of you roll your eyes at this one, blame Jody. Oh, you've already had your flu shot. Well done. So, Stephen Wright said, my watch is 3 hours fast and I can't fix it. So I've decided I'm going to move to New York. Some of you will love the visual of this one. Stephen Wright said, I used to own an ant farm, but I had to give it up. I couldn't find tractors small enough to fit in it. Yeah, Nana's saying that they're going to get flu shots because of Rick's breathing. How is that going, Nana? You've had pneumonia twice, Nolene. That's, I must admit that the only time I got bronchitis since I gave up smoking was when I was in an aeroplane, and I don't know what I picked up in that aeroplane, but I ended up with a very serious bronchitis, close to pneumonia, actually close to pleurisy, I think. So it was very challenging. Stephen Wright asked, so what is the speed of dark? Like we always talk about the speed of light, but what about the speed of dark? Yeah, Nana's saying that Rick is getting better. We're pleased to hear that, but he had a bad cold. Yes. All right, so Beth's saying that when she gets sick, she asks for a shot because it works faster. Sometimes they won't, right? You ask for a shot rather than take it orally. That is very interesting. I never thought about that. That's a very good point, Beth. Yeah, pleurisy is no joke. It's very painful. I've had it a few times in my life. So, Nana, you've had that cough for months, if I understand it correctly. So did you get it and then pass it on to Rick, who then kindly passed it back to you, or how did that work? Yeah, pleurisy hurts like no other. Yeah, it's definitely not fun. And Stephen Wright said, when I woke up this morning, my girlfriend asked me, did you sleep good? And I said, no, I made a few mistakes. By the way, between the two broadcasts today, after I'd got the second broadcast sort of set up and ready, I decided, there was an hour gap. And I thought, I'm going to actually lie down for a while. And I want to tell you, that was the greatest cap nap I've ever had. It was just like, I used that technique that the military people use, where each time I breathed in, I really felt my head sort of sinking farther into the pillow. I literally, by just relaxing my body, it was amazing how quickly I fell asleep. Yeah, so you had bronchitis as well, Nana. That's sad, and that's what Rick had as well. Or did you said he had a bad cold, not bronchitis, if I understood that correctly? Yeah, progressive relaxation is a great technique to get to sleep especially if you want to cat nap. Where you know that the more time you spend trying to get to sleep. Do any of you actually go to sleep watching a program, watching TV or something? I have found if any of you if any of you watch things like forensic files or stuff like that, that guy's voice sends me to sleep. And so if I want to go to sleep, I just put that on, and it's just like I very rarely get through a full episode before I just zonk out completely. I call it watching television with my eyes closed. Right, he almost had pneumonia. Okay, and so he has a puffer. Yes. How many of you viewers have a puffer on hand? I do, for that very reason. Yeah. Luckily, I don't have to use it very often. Yeah. So we understand, Nana. It's anything, that affects our lungs is a but I still have to be so grateful for all the years that I smoked. Question. Jody's saying I have 2 inhalers, one of which is a strong steroid. Am I correct that not all inhalers then are steroids? Kerry falls asleep watching documentaries. It's very interesting. The main thing is to know what genre you need to watch to fall asleep. To me, I think it's that guy's voice that just sends me off so quickly. Yes, Beth is talking about, have you all heard about how vaping is just as bad as smoking? I want to tell you that I am so glad that I did vaping the way that I did it. I used vaping as a way to stop smoking, and as soon as I stopped smoking, I also stopped vaping. If you know what I mean. I did the two together for a while, then I just vaped, and then I quit. But I think it is something new that they have. Yes, there are an awful lot of people. There are an awful lot of people that have got serious lung problems because of this. I think, like all things, they got fancy and put something weird into the mixture. Quite honestly, Beth, I used to make my own mixture. Yeah, Jody's not surprised, but I used to actually make my own vaping mixture, so I knew what was in it. And I think that also helped me. There wasn't, I knew there wasn't anything strange in it. All right, so Jody is saying, I think some inhalers are a preventative medicine for maintenance rather than a rescue steroid based on, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. All right, so Kerry's saying the deaths are caused by black market THC cartridges with vitamin E oil in them. Really, I didn't know that they had actually identified what was causing it. The last I heard is they were still trying to identify what was causing it. Thanks for that, Kerry. So Beth is saying that she vaped something called Bull Buddy. Tastes like Red Bull, a Red Bull energy drink. Interesting. I want to tell you that I was quite surprised to hear a couple of people talk about the fact that vaping has helped so many people quit smoking that they really are fighting against it being banned. Um, what they want is better control of what's in the vape mixture. I used to just have glycerin, and cooking quality glycerin with, and I'd put menthol in there. I've still got the stuff right here now that I think about it. Vaping is like electronic smoking. Yeah, and I quit smoking thanks to vaping as well, as you know. And that's why I think it's like a lot of things, somebody started putting the wrong stuff in the mixtures. Yeah. Quite honestly, Nyasha, the best way I can describe it is like an electronic pencil that it actually takes moisture and vaporizes it. So it's like almost inhaling a low level steam. Yeah, and Kerry's saying she'll be 6 years cigarette free. And Nana's asking, are you still vaping, Kerry? And I think you are, right? I think you still got nicotine in your vape mixture. Yeah. And quite honestly, Nyasha, in a lot of the movies today, you'll see the stars smoking, but they're actually smoking by vaping rather than actually real cigarettes. It really, I must admit, I tried everything there was to quit smoking, and vaping did it for me. I must admit. And Nolene saying she's 19 years free of cigarettes. Well done. What helped you, Nolene? I did find that a mixture of the patch and vaping was what took me right off, completely off cigarettes. Um, but I think I only did that for a month or so, if that. Yeah, probably a month. And then I stopped the patch, and then I would think within 6 months, stopped the vaping as well. And I must admit, 7 years later, I still every now and then have a moment when I think I really could do with a cigarette. Yes, your vape is nicotine free. Wow. Nolene's saying she went cold turkey. Well done. I found that by not having nicotine in, as same as Beth is saying, I didn't have nicotine at all in my vape. So there was nothing there to keep me smoking. Yeah, and Kerry's saying that her granny asked her to quit smoking, and she did. Yeah. And Nolene, do you find that occasionally you say, "Gosh, I could really do with a cigarette right now"? It was really strange. I know both Yvonne and I had a particularly difficult week not so long ago, and we both were so thankful that we both said that because we both are recovering smokers, that I wouldn't dream of smoking again because I know it would trigger Yvonne to smoke as well, and she said she does exactly the same thing. Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? And I think what I found really interesting is that I realized it wasn't that I needed a cigarette, although that's what I thought all those years. I needed a break away from stuff. Oh, interesting. Nolene can't stand the smell of smoke now. Funny enough, I'm the opposite. I will actually go to a street corner where people are smoking and I'll go, could you blow that my way? And it's so difficult because people won't do it. They're so used to keeping their cigarette smoke away from people. I go, no, 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 please, just blow that over me for a second. I literally will go, oh, thank you. Kerry says, I still crave cigarettes to this day. If I get stressed out enough, and this last week has been pretty stressful, yes, I'm proud to say I haven't picked one up. Good. Right. The smell makes you sick. Well, that's a good thing. Be grateful for that. I've never had that reaction. Stephen Wright said, I saw a bank and it said 24-hour banking. I don't have that much time. Oh, made a boo-boo there. Stephen Wright asked, what's another word for thesaurus? Yeah, it's interesting that, Nolene's saying she's so glad that she hates the smell of smoke because otherwise she might have taken it back up again. Yeah. Stephen Wright said, when I hear a baby, I always write down the noises he makes. So later I can ask him what he meant. All right, so Beth is saying that she had to quit because her neurologist said that I'm causing my MS to flare up and it further restricts my blood flow. Interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah. And Nana's asking if anybody has an opinion about President Trump. How many days have you got, Nana? Obviously, you do. So do you want to give your opinion, Nana? Hi, Jamie. Stephen Wright said that last week I bought a new phone. I took it out of the box, hooked it up to the wall, and then pressed redial. The phone had a nervous breakdown. So, how are things with you, Jamie? We don't get to see you very often, so it's wonderful that you popped in. Nice to see you. Stephen Wright said, I almost had a psychic girlfriend, but she left me before we met. All right, so Nana's saying that she thinks it's all very sad. Yeah, about Trump. Yeah, I think it's. Are you sad for him or sad for America? If you didn't get a chance to see it, Carrie Ann Conway's husband wrote an incredible op-ed recently, and it definitely is worth reading. So good, Jamie, that you've been busy with work. We like that. Yeah, it is sad for everybody because as I have warned, this will cause a huge economic change throughout the world. It's going to be, the stock market is probably going to do a nosedive, and we're all going to feel it. Wherever we live in the world, we're going to feel it. Isabel says, here we're too busy fighting over Aladdin. No, I'm not sure about that, Isabel. I was saying to somebody the other day, isn't it strange that I'm much more involved in American politics than I am in Canadian? Now, listen to Stephen Wright's comment on this one. He said, support bacteria. They're the only culture some people have. Oh, they're busy trying. And Nyasha's asking what's going on. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying, Nana. Is that the fallout from the Trump presidency is going to affect us all. Do we have free healthcare? Beth is asking. No, we pay for our healthcare, but to give you an idea, we pay about $56 a month for the basic healthcare. Most people, when they're working, get a bigger plan. But even with the basic plan, Beth, for example, if I need an operation of any sort, I can, I would walk into a hospital and not pay a cent. I think that is the bit that most Canadians are so grateful for. So God forbid that it doesn't happen, but I could have cancer tomorrow, and that treatment would not cost me a cent. And it is an incredibly kind system. You don't have to go bankrupt to be sick. So, and to think, and the reason is because we all pay. It was the system that nobody wanted in the States, but it actually, Nana will probably be able to tell us, or Jody will check it out for me. They started this many years ago, and everybody pays into it, except those that are financially unable. And then there's coverage for that. But because everybody pays into it, right, these things are possible. All right, so Nyasha, you're saying that because you live in Trinidad and Tobago, you're concerned of what he did, whether it have effect on us. I don't think it's going to necessarily affect you in Trinidad and Tobago. All right, so Beth is saying I pay $600 a month, and I have to copay, and a deductible of $2,400 before the insurance will pay. Yeah. Pensioners definitely miss a lot. Yes, I agree. It doesn't cover eyewear. It doesn't cover teeth. So, but it does cover quite a bit, and I am definitely very grateful for what it covers here in Canada. Does that answer your question, Beth? Now, on the other side, Beth, sometimes you don't get the attention you need in a very timely manner. You can perhaps need an operation and you have to wait. Whereas I think in the States, you get it pretty instantly. Yeah. So I don't know many Canadians that would swap out their system, quite honestly. I am very grateful for it. Stephen Wright asked, what did he do? Oh, what hasn't he done, Nyasha? But the latest thing is that he has done something. We're waiting for it to be confirmed beyond a doubt. But what he did was use his power as president to try and get dirt on Vice President Biden to help him get reelected. That basically is what it is. And that is against the American Constitution. That, you're not meant to use your power as president. And not only that, he said to Ukraine, I know you need this money for your defense system, but, we'd like you to do us a favor, though, first. All right. And that favor was to investigate and quite honestly, make up dirt on Biden. And so I think it'll not only be Trump, but I've got a feeling Giuliani is going to be in the mix as well. So does that make sense, Nyasha? So that they are working out whether to impeach him or not, and that means to take him out of office. Now, my question is, because it now appears that maybe Pence is involved as well, that's Vice President Pence, who will they put in instead of him? And my feeling is, who's the guy from Utah? Romney. My feeling is, I bet you Romney stands up to take over. That's my feeling. No, Pelosi is a Democrat. No, she's not a Republican. All right, 1968 for the Canadian healthcare. Thank you very much, Jody. I appreciate that. All right. Yes, Pence is being investigated as well, as far as I can see. So, the thing is this, that if they take them both out, then who will the Republicans have to put up as a candidate? My feeling is probably Mitt Romney. That is my feeling. You heard it here first. If Trump and Pence go out, she takes over? Is that the law? That the Speaker of the House takes over if they both... Why would they automatically put her in? That's news to me. I didn't know that. I'm certainly interested in that. I would have thought that it would be the next in line who is... Yeah, that's what I think, Kerry. I don't think it's Pelosi. Pelosi is a Democrat. They're not going to automatically put in a Democrat. They would put in another Republican. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, but Kerry, thanks for throwing it out there, because that's how we all learn. Okay. Yeah. I don't know enough about the Constitution if both the president and the vice president get caught up on something. But my sense is it wouldn't go to a Democrat. What I'm saying is that, it could go to the Democrat if they have an election and the Democrats win, but they would have to replace somebody else as the head of the Republicans, is what I'm thinking. Really? Is that right? Jody's confirming it then, that under the Constitution, if Trump and Pence both get impeached, Pelosi will be the next in line. Wow. Well, thank you, Kerry. You taught me something. I did not know that about American Constitution. Because she's the Speaker in the House, that's the third line. You got President, Vice President, and then Speaker of the House. Is that right? Well, big hugs to you. Thank you so much, Kerry. I learned something today. Very interesting. And that's how Gerald Ford became president. Wow. I didn't realize that. What a big learning moment. Thank you so much. And you've got to say, I really do want to say this, that I do believe that the founding fathers really thought this one out, not knowing what could happen. But I am so grateful that the Constitution is as strong as it is. That the Speaker of the House apparently is third in line to take over the presidency. Yes. Isn't that interesting? Love it when you guys teach me stuff. And Kerry, my apologies. Because that certainly is news to me. It's just like, wow. I don't think I ever do a broadcast where I don't learn something, and that's why I find it so fascinating. Thank you, guys. Yeah, well, you would have been right. Niesh is saying, but if he's impeached and removed as president, then normally the vice president would go in, Nyasha. But the thing is that the vice president also is possibly going to have a problem. And if he also has a problem, they won't be able to put him in as president. Well, good stuff, Kerry. Thank you for, what I love about it though, Kerry, is I love that you were strong enough to put it out there, because otherwise we wouldn't have discussed it. And I certainly wouldn't have learnt that. So thank you so much. I think that's one of the things I love about it when we have discussions here, is because we always learn. Yeah. All right. So Nana is saying the current Presidential Succession Act was adopted in 1947, a great year, my year, and was revised in 2006. The line of succession follows the order of Vice President and then Speaker of the House of Representatives. I am waiting to see how many Republicans are going to start standing up and standing up for what Republican values really are versus what Trump has done. And I think that's going to be the interesting thing. Because I think a lot of their constituents are going to say, are you backing Trump or are you backing the Republican way? Because the two are no longer the same. And, I think that'll be the interesting thing when we go, when you guys go to the election, is, how many of the constituents are going to say, are you a Republican or are you a Trump follower? And because I think there's going to be a division made. Very interesting. Stephen Wright said, one time I went to a drive-in in a taxi cab. The movie cost me $95. All right. Yeah, well, thank you, Nana. We really appreciate your input. All right. So Niesh is saying, won't all the stuff he implemented be removed? No, I don't think all of it will. And the reason Niesh is asking is that each and every government that has passed through our country, every strategy and infrastructure made has been on a standstill. Yes, I think that we've come to the point where, Trump was so obsessed about reversing everything that Obama did. He was absolutely demented about, if Obama did it, he reversed it. And, you can't govern like that. That's like if you're going to completely change everything every time you change a president, what hope does the country have? And as you say, Nyasha, it's going to cause a lack of development or whatever. So there has to be something put into place where that is not, you can't just reverse everything that the previous president put in. And, look at all the problems we're going to have with, yeah, he was threatened by Obama. That's pretty sure. Yeah. But, if you look at it, look at all the things that he's reversed about climate change, of fossil fuel and all that stuff. It's like, taking, although a lot of America might not see it, he's taking America backwards by pretending to take it forwards. Yeah, and Jody's saying that everything that Trump has implemented would need to go through a vote or be, you're probably going to have to do some sort of referendum thing. Oh, hi, Cindy. Cindy's saying, I'm able to watch your live chat now because I'm at home. And I'm at home because of what's happening in Hong Kong. Yes. Maybe we definitely have been hearing about it. I am amazed that the people of Hong Kong, what is it, 17 weeks now, Cindy? Yeah, I think it's 17 weeks they've been fighting the extradition thing, right? And how many of you, does everybody know what's happening in Hong Kong? Just because that's another world, event going on that people need to understand. Since June the 9th. Yeah, incredible. It really is incredible that they have done that. So basically, what China tried to do, if I understand this, and Cindy, just help me here if I get it wrong, is to say that they wanted to bring in a law that said if you were in Hong Kong, which at the moment is semi-protected, that China could actually take you out of Hong Kong and then not return you to Hong Kong. They could basically take you out because you contravene some Chinese law, but then you'd never be able to get back to Hong Kong. Am I correct in that, Cindy? And I mean, I'm trying to put it into as few words as possible. So that they could basically, it's like an extradition. They could take you out, but you could never go back. And, obviously that is horrific. And that's why they're all protesting that needs to stop. Yeah, Nyasha, I certainly am aware of that. Nyasha's saying that Trinidad and Tobago is not as developed as the US or Canada or Europe. You're right. And that's exact economy which is plaguing us right now. Yes. And so, I do understand that, that awful lot of countries that are not as developed and are fighting towards getting more developed. And so, yeah, I am aware of that, and I'm certain. I wonder how many people actually even know where Trinidad and Tobago is, right? Because it's really interesting when you talk to people. A lot of people think it's sort of like, near Puerto Rico or something, but it's actually how many miles away from South America? It's like just it's just like you can almost touch South America, right? You're that close. It's always amazing to me that it's way more south than most people understand. Okay, Nana, have a good meal. So, yeah, I just want to see if I can find out how many miles it is away from the mainland. Because I think it's an interesting point. Hang on one second. Let's see if I can find it. All right. You are only 2,000 miles away from Venezuela. No? That's amazing, really. No, it's only 11 kilometers off the coast. Sorry. My bad. It's only 11 kilometers off Venezuela. That's amazing, isn't it? Yeah. All right. So here we go. Cindy's come back with the answer. She said people who commit a crime in China or Taiwan and then flee to Hong Kong could be extradited. That's what I thought, that it was something to do with extradition, back to China or Taiwan for trial. And what the people of Hong Kong are saying, that they need to be tried in Hong Kong. I think the difficulty, Cindy, is, and I don't understand the politics of it well enough, but once Hong Kong went back to being ruled by China, surely you are now under Chinese law. Yeah, Cindy's saying she won't talk too much about it because she doesn't understand everything. None of us understand everything. Yeah. So it's incredible, Nyasha, that I think very few people understand how close it is to Venezuela. It is an amazing proximity to Venezuela. Wow. It's interesting. Isabel saying that she's closer to Nyasha than I am. And we both live in Canada. Oh, do you still have British law, Cindy? And that is what the issue is, right? That the people in Hong Kong want to continue to be judged under the British law, not under Chinese law. Awesome. Thank you for the input, Cindy. Again, another learning moment for people. Yeah. Amazing the things we learn, isn't it? We come here to laugh and we end up with world knowledge. We are one country with two different systems. All right. So Hong Kong is allowed to keep its British law. That is amazing. I wonder for how long, Cindy. No, and you know something? People who are interested will research it a bit more anyway, Cindy, so don't worry. You're doing a great job. All right, so Kerry is saying that Mike is trying to win her back, and I don't know how to feel about that. Nobody can tell you how to feel about that, Kerry. Only you can decide how to feel about that. So the question is, do you want him back? And if you say, I don't know, then you need to spend more time working out the pros and cons. And, I would suggest, if it makes sense, Kerry, that just literally take a piece of paper. These are the reasons why I would like him back, and these are the reasons why I am concerned. And maybe talk through them with him. Nobody says you have to make an instant decision. Yeah. Now remember, Nyasha, that Isabel is sitting in. I think the easiest way is to see that she's in Montreal, or she's in Quebec, rather, and understand that I'm on the West Coast here near Vancouver. All right, Cindy, great to see you, and we're glad you're safe, honey. That's the important thing. I've got a friend of mine who's in Hong Kong, and I try to check in with him every now and then to make sure that he is still safe, for that very reason. Yeah. Cindy, we really appreciate the fact you came in and updated us. Thank you. And I'm glad you're back and safe. Stay that way. Stephen Wright asked, if Barbie is so popular, why do we have to buy her friends? Now, this is so true, isn't it? Stephen Wright said, in school, they told me practice makes perfect. And then they told me nobody's perfect. So then I stopped practicing. Beth is saying, yeah, exactly, Beth. Beth is also saying to Kerry, the answer is the answer is the question. If you don't know how you feel, then how can you make that decision? Yes, I agree with you, Beth. So don't be in a rush to make that decision. Kerry's saying we had dinner tonight and he picked me up and dropped me off at home. He still has the mindset that I need to be more feminine and girly. I'm a tomboy who plays with eyeliner. So basically, he's trying to control again. All right. That he did, it's interesting, isn't it? That he would like it if you were more girly and feminine, and you're not. Isn't that interesting? All right. And so, one is that is a wish. Is it a deal breaker, Kerry? I think that's what you need to know. Because it sounds to me that is about, he doesn't love you. He wants to love what you look like, and he wants you to look like eye candy, sort of thing. I don't know. I could be wrong. I need to understand that better. Now, Vancouver is on the West Coast, and Quebec is actually just, it's not an island on itself. It's part of Canada, although they keep trying to not be. So, have a look at Google Maps and look at Quebec, and then have a look at where Vancouver is, and then see how far you'll be able to see how far each is from your neck of the woods. All right, so Kerry says, I will never be. I agree with you, Kerry. I don't think you ever will be. But this is the 21st century, not the 20th, right? I am free to be whoever I want to be, yes. And I want to tell you that today, if somebody said to me, I'd like you to be more feminine, you go, well, then obviously you've got the wrong person. All right? Do you understand? Then obviously you've got the wrong person. Because I am who I am. And if you don't love me as I am, if you're asking me to change to suit your vision better, then I got to be the wrong person, because I am who I am. And if I choose to become more feminine, that's my choice. It's not because you want it. It's a difficult one, Kerry, but it fits in with other things that you have said. All right. It's about, I was married to somebody who said, who worked incredibly weird hours and then wanted me to be dressed up to the nines when he finished work. And I'm saying, I'm sorry, I work I literally was working 12 hours a day plus. And I said, when I come home, I'm getting in my sweats. And if you took a job that is, insane hours in the middle of the night, I am not going to be dressed up to the nines when you get home. Sorry. And obviously we're not married anymore. Yes, Beth, I agree with you. All right. Um, Beth is saying if you're not girly enough, then he is not seeing you for who you are. Don't pretend to be someone you're not. Yeah. And that is, I think it's a trap, Kerry, that a lot of us fell into in our lives. All right. So Kerry's saying, I never liked dresses and I hate dressing up. I always have. I prefer jeans and t-shirts. It's funny that I don't own a dress anymore, Kerry. you know, it's like if I've got a couple of long skirts for the summer, but I don't own a dress anymore, nor do I need to. Yeah. Do you tell him what you want him to wear? Yeah, Jody's saying I haven't owned a dress in 15 years. It's just like, yeah. And my biggest problem is when I go out because I really am getting less and less go out clothes in my life. Pretending is exhausting. It's more work than just finding the right person that loves you as you are. Yeah, I agree. I don't think if somebody doesn't love you for who you are, then do they love you? But, you got to give him credit for telling you the truth. All right. So Kerry's saying, I haven't worn a dress since June the 21st, 2004. She knows the date because it was a wedding. That's really interesting. And I still now wear pants to go to a wedding. I don't feel the need to put on a dress. I just don't do dresses anymore. So, it's like, you don't like that? Shame. You want me there? Good. Then I will dress in what I'm comfortable in. Now I got fancy pants, if you know what I mean. Yeah, that's funny, Jody. Jody, again, can you be more specific? What time of the day was it, Kerry? Yes, exactly, Kerry. I'm the same, all right? You said I hated it. If I'm required to dress up, I have black pants and nice tops. So do I. I have, nice pants, dress up pants, and, a series of nice tops and jackets and things like that. The wedding was about 3 o'clock, Jody. Give or take a couple of minutes, She can remember it well. So, I think it's really important, Kerry, that you take note of that, because that to my mind is one of those red flag things that I used to ignore. I've got to say that that's why I got into a lot of trouble in my relationships. So, it's really important that you understand this, because at least he's being honest, and I would literally give him credit for being honest about that's what he would like. And my answer would be, hey, I would like Brad Pitt, but doesn't mean I'm going to get him, right? So the question is it a deal breaker? Because if so, let's get that one out of the way right now. And I would be honest, Kerry, and I say that because really I imagine that I will continue to dress as I am for the rest of my life. And if you don't love me dressed the way that I am, then I don't want to spend my life trying to dress the way you want me to. Right? That would be codependent, Kerry. You know that. But on the other hand, thank you for letting me know. I will do what I can to, maybe buy a more feminine top or whatever every now and then. Just, I think there's a win-win there if you want it to be. It doesn't have to be a deal breaker unless he wants it. But I would get all those sort of things clearly on the table now, because once you're back together again, the chances of this blowing up in your face again is going to be pretty easy. By the way, which one made the contact first when you split up, Kerry, just as a matter of interest? Yeah, you see, I agree with you, Beth. I found that in my second marriage, the marriage vows only lasted whilst I was healthy. You know what I mean? So that bit in the marriage vows where it said in sickness and health, apparently he didn't hear that bit. I got sick and didn't look beautiful anymore, and that's when the trouble hit the fan. Yeah. Okay, so he got back to you. So you still have a lot of discussion. I still think, Kerry, um, that if he honestly does want you back, then maybe you guys need a bit of counseling. You might want to consider that. I agree with you, Beth. You have to connect on a much deeper level than what you're wearing. Yep. And that is another control thing, right? We had the issue about your friends. Now it's about what you wear. So I'd listen to those red flags, and I would definitely be aware. That's all. But I think at this stage, definitely it's a case of, hey, listen, I would consider going back, but only if we get counseling first before we do it, to make sure that we're both on an even keel here. It's a possibility. Just give it a thought. A nice quote, Kerry. Where did you get that one from? Beauty fades, but sarcasm is forever. Great bumper sticker. Yeah, and just understand there is no rush about this. If it's meant to be, it will be. All right, and it will stand the test of time. And I think, what I'd also suggest to you, Kerry, is when you write the pros and cons down, if you decide to do that, make sure you take all the things that were coming up before that you were having problems with, and make sure that you do that. Yes, Beth is asking a question as well, which is on past relationships. Have you noticed a pattern of controlling partners? I want to tell you that, to me, I was amazed at how much of a pretzel I became to try and please a guy. I mean, I'm not proud of that, Beth, but boy. And I used to attract controlling partners. Yes, I did. Kerry said she saw that quote on Facebook, on a meme one time in the early days of Facebook. Yeah, it's a great one. So, Kerry, have you got enough input, honey, or do you need more? Yes, I definitely have to agree with you. Beth is saying some people get attracted to controlling men; they just don't realize it. It took me a while. It took me 2 marriages to work that one out, Beth. And now I really, I just keep away. It's easier. Yeah, Kerry's saying I'm not a pretzel anymore. I was doing fine before him. I'll do fantastic after him. Okay. And we understand that, he is, it takes courage for him to try and get you back. But if it's, if he's saying, I'll take you back if you change, then that's not what you want either. No. Or that's one of the things you need to consider, right? Because to me, that's another red flag. But I've said this to you last week, Kerry, and I'm going to keep saying to you, the thing is, this is your life. You get to do what you want to do. So we can all give you all the input in the world, but the truth is you get to make the decision. And whatever decision you make, we'll still be here to support you. I think that's really important that you understand that. Right. So Kerry's saying, I used to have daddy issues and was attracted to older men. I no longer have daddy issues, but I still like older men. And that's what it is. So have we given you enough input? I just want to just double check before I carry on. Okay, no problem, Kerry. Steve Wright asked, if all the nations in the world are in debt, where did all the money go? And then he said, I have just received my degree in calcium anthropology. That's the study of milkmen. All right, and his famous one is, drink till she is cute, but stop before the wedding. Isn't that the truth? And then he said, I'm a psychic amnesiac. I will know in advance what I'll forget. A psychic amnesiac. That's an interesting vision. He said he was a peripheral visionary. So he could see the future, but only way off to the side. Just imagine this one. He said, my friend George is a radio announcer. And when he walks under a bridge, you can't hear him. Cute. You're going to like this one, people. One night, a jet flew a little too close to my house. I was walking from my living room to my kitchen, and the flight attendant said, sit down. By the way, how's your kitty cat, Kerry? Because I think you said that your kitty cat was not well. Did you get to the vet? And Stephen Wright also asked, what happens if you get scared to death twice? If you get half scared to death twice? Good question. Stephen Wright said, I have a telescope on the peephole of my door so I can see who's at the door 200 miles away. And he said, Stephen Wright said, I have a large seashell collection, which I keep scattering on beaches all over the world. He feeds them back. And Stephen Wright said, I used to be a bartender at the Betty Ford Clinic. Yeah, and I used to say to people, I don't know if any of you relate to this, you know, I say it a lot when people ask me, do you want fries with that? And I go, I didn't get this body by not having fries, right? It's really it's really pretty obvious. And so, but what I also say to people, I used to say it a lot when I was on stage. I'd say, my idea of exercise is to get in the tub, fill it up, and then pull out the plug and swim against the current. Do any of you relate to that? Or my early morning exercise routine is open my eyes, close them, open my eyes, close them, open my eyes, close them. And that's how you get a body like mine. But I definitely used to like to pull out the plug and swim against the current. People like that one a lot. Yeah, so Stephen Wright said, Jodie's quoting here, if you can't have everything, where would you put it, right? Now, that was the opposite of Rita Rudner, all right, who said, if I can't have everything, can I have some of yours? I like that one. Good, I'm glad you're feeling a bit better, Carrie. You're going to need to keep processing this for some time, all right? And only you can make those decisions, only you can do the process of it. And we will be here. You know how to get hold of us, Kerry, if you need any extra input, right? That's the most important thing. We don't have the answer for you because it's your life. Stephen Wright said, my friend just got a trophy wife. But she must not have won first place. This is a nice visual as well. Stephen Wright said, I had some eyeglasses. I was walking down the street when suddenly the prescription ran out. How many of you can see that visual? What happened? Good idea. I think, um, Kerry, I think a hot shower is always a good idea when you're stressed. Also, it's a great place to cry if you need to. Right. And I'm a great believer that having a shower so you can have a cry is not a bad idea either. It's a perfect place to cry because it's just sort of it's the right place to cry, in my view. Stephen Wright said that smoking cures weight problems eventually. Yes, Beth, how wise is that? Making the right decision sometimes will be sad, and that's okay. And Stephen Wright asked, why don't they make mouse flavored cat treats? Now, this is a very good question. Think about this one. Stephen Wright asked, why are pictures square if the lens is round? That's a good question, isn't it? Why are the pictures square when the lens is round? and and Steve Wright also said, in Vegas, I got into a long argument with a man at the roulette wheel over what I considered to be an odd number. Yeah, I think 12 is pretty odd, don't you? Now, listen to this logic that only Steve Wright could have. Officer, I know I was going faster than 55 miles an hour, but I knew I wasn't going to be on the road for a full hour. Right, Kerry. Isn't that true, right? Why is pizza round and then cut into triangles and put in a square box? That is awesome. I like that one, Kerry. Very good question. But didn't Pizza Hut or somebody actually make a rectangle pizza? And I was going, that's intelligent. Goodbye, Nolene. Good to see you, honey. Keep smiling and keep getting better. Please, if you choose to. Not trying to control you here. And Stephen Wright said, my theory of evolution is that Darwin was adopted. The man really has a very warped sense of humor, doesn't he? And why doesn't the fattest man in the world become a hockey player? And he said, when I was a kid, I went into the store and asked the guy, do you have any toy train schedules? I can remember, can any of you remember opening up your first bank account? My grandfather left me a little bit of money, and I opened a bank account with the help of my mom to put the money in. And then I found out you could take it out again. I'm going, that's really good. Can I take it out now? He said that cross-country skiing is great if you live in a small country. How is the house selling going? You know, Beth, in a way, I'm sort of glad you asked that. In a way, I'm not glad you asked that. The last condition of the sale of my house is that they sell their house by the end of October, and we are already into October. If they do sell it by the end of October, I will have until the middle of November to get out. Yeah. So Niesha's saying, why does a tree sway in the breeze if it doesn't dance? Right. She made that one up. Yeah. So Beth, you understand I'm in limbo at the moment. And part of me, you know, could worry myself sick that this is going to fall through, and it very possibly might. But the other part of me goes, I have to believe that this is all for a good reason. So, you know, it's just like I will have to make a plan B, C, and D because my financial situation is such that I need to sell the house, as you know. And so I've got to make a way of being able to pay my bills if this falls through. So that'll be something that I'm starting to think about in case I need it. I've been thinking about it for a while. But that is my reality. The other thing is this, Beth, that I also realize that I have a stack of equity in here. And so I might just, my bank won't give me a loan against the sale of my house, but I'm pretty sure I can go to a private lender and say, okay, fine, I need to borrow this much money, you know, to survive until the house sells. You know, and do it that way. And then, you know, I'll do what I need to do. Maybe I need to take in a renter or something. So, but I don't have to worry about it yet. I'm seeing my realtor on Tuesday, so I'll have a better idea then. And I need to be careful because if I string it out too far without making a plan B, I could run out of deposit money to get somewhere else on the other side, if you know what I mean. Can I open up a GoFundMe account with, you know, why, I guess I could, but why would I? All right. I am able some one way or another to do it the right way. I don't need to beg for money yet at the moment anyway. All right. I want to go back. Jody says she actually absolutely remembers when she opened her first account, a bank account, and then the sport of writing checks. Yes, I thought that was such fun as well. Kerry's saying, I remember opening a savings account when I was a tween. My mum helped me. Yep. I put half my money from babysitting each week, right? And then my grandma set up one for me at her bank and cut me a check at 13. Isn't that nice? You know, I think it's a great way to teach children is to put money aside for them. Wow. Kerry's saying that her mum also put in her child support checks. So she didn't use them for food or clothing. She just put them into an account for you. Isn't that amazing? I wonder how she managed to do that without cashing those checks. Wow, that is really something. What an unselfish thing for her to do. I don't know what a Christmas club is, Jody, so help me on that one. Jody's asking, does anybody remember Christmas clubs at their bank? I have no idea what that is. I presume that you put money in during the year and then at Christmas you got it back again or something? Stephen Wright said, I went to the cinema and the prices were great. Adults $5 and children $2.50. So I said, give me 2 boys and a girl. um, you know something, Nyasha? Nyasha, I understand the compassion and care. You're saying that you're just trying to give ideas, and I thank you for that, all right? It's so hurtful your house doesn't sell. No, I don't believe it's hurtful. I believe it's there for a reason. And if you remember, I do have an offer on my house. I'm just waiting for the last condition to be met, and that is that they sell their house by the end of the month. And if they do, then I have sold my house. I also am very grateful that as of the time that I'm talking to you, that Sally Shack, the little place that I found, still hasn't sold or the deal hasn't finalized. And so at the moment, it's still available. So I'm just praying. I'm a great believer that, it's going to, what is meant to happen will happen. I don't have to panic too much. Yes, Jody, that's what I thought, that you put in a little bit every week, and then at the end of the year, you got a happy Christmas present. Yeah, great idea. All right, so that's awesome, Carrie, that she did that. I think it's a very unselfish thing for a mother to do, because I know an awful lot of mothers, and you'll forgive me for saying this. I know an awful lot of mothers who use the child support for their own benefit rather than the child's. Well, you know something, Jody, if it's not available when my house sells, then it's not the right place for me anyway. So I'm trying very hard to be zen about this. How many of you can feel that? I'm trying very hard not to panic. I have to trust God and that there's a bigger plan out there. And I look at it, how lucky I am that I have enough equity that I'm pretty sure I can go to a private lender and say, hey, this is the value of my house. I just need a bridging loan until it sells. And I'm pretty sure I will get it without too much problem because I have, a lot of money in equity sitting in it. Now, if I've got to repay the interest of that every month rather than when the house sells, then I'm probably going to have to make a plan about that. Yes, Kerry, I agree with you. You're saying that your mom is an amazing woman. She sacrificed so much for the children. Yeah, you are truly loved and blessed. Yes, I think it's wonderful. Jody's saying that that I am indeed very zen, handling all this so well. I've been inspired by that. It's interesting because people are beginning to, my contract with my realtor is going to run out. And, I've had people say to me, well, get another realtor. And I'm going, why? you know, well, yours hasn't sold your house yet. Well, no, because the market is so cruel. So to me, it's like, do I need to change my realtor to sell my house? Not necessarily. I don't think so. I'll see what the discussion is. We actually officially are having a birthday lunch in October. We're having a birthday lunch on Tuesday. So, but I'm pretty certain that the discussion will go around to the house. In fact, I've got 2 lunches coming up. So tomorrow I'm going out to lunch with Marnie, my friend Marnie, which means I will have a very serious discussion and laugh a lot. 2 things I love to do. So it'll be a good day. All right, everybody. So I'm hoping that you had a bit of a smile today, and that I definitely learned a lot. I'm really thank you, Kerry, for the information on the Constitution. I definitely did not know that about your Constitution. I feel so much more um, informed. And how many of you are going, wow, imagine that Pelosi could end up being president without having to go to an election? That would be quite something. And by the way, I did hear today that Bernie Sanders is out of hospital after his heart attack. The question is whether he'll be able to continue to do his run. If he's had a heart attack now, it may preclude him from continuing. But I'm glad to hear that he's okay and he's gone home. It's a pleasure, Jody. I'm glad that you enjoyed it, and I certainly am very thankful for everybody. Big round of applause. Thank you all for taking the time to be here with us. We wouldn't learn the things we learn if you weren't here, so I'm very, very appreciative. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you on Sunday. And yeah, it's a pleasure, Isabel. Always great to see you here and everybody else as well. And I just want to thank you all for having a smile and for being part of the conversation. It's great to have you here. This is DearMamaSal saying, remember to look after one another, but please remember to stay true to who you are. And Kerry, you know how to get hold of us if you need any input. If you need to vent or talk anything through, all the ways of contacting us. Nyasha, it's a pleasure. I'm grateful to have you here. And by the way, Nyasha, I want to apologize. I think I promised to send you that cycle of loss on grieving, and I haven't. But I will. I saw a note about it and thought, wow, I don't think I ever sent that to Nyasha. So Nyasha, I've got it on my list now. So you will get it eventually. It's on my list. All right. Big hugs to you all. Have a great weekend. This is Dear Mama Sal saying thank you for being here. Bye bye for now.